Hi there, everyone. This is Adam here with the Here to Listen podcast, or rather an intro to. So this is an episode that we recorded back in April with Ruth from the Liberty Coach. She's a supporter of mental health for young people in Bedfordshire. It was myself and colleague Jack, who you know from the main podcast that came on, and Ruth, of course. Yeah, early stuff, but bear with us, and hopefully you'll be able to see that we've got a lot better since. But yeah, enjoy. Thanks. Hi there, everyone. You're through to the Here to Listen podcast. This is, I think, episode 5 now. I think we're on already. My name's Adam. I'm here with Jack, my co-host.
Hello.
And we're here with Ruth Carter, who's kindly come on as a guest to talk about a lot around her experience, some mental health stuff there. But I'll let you introduce yourself there, Ruth. Go ahead. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ruth Carter, the Liberty Coach, and I work with young people, children, parents and teachers within the school setting.
Nice. That's something that I was aware of before I sort of prep in, doing my little prep thing, was we've circled each other like over the years. It's funny, like I feel a bit like sort of the satellites, you know, like with the gravity, you know, we'll come close a bit and then we go, you know, because there's stuff with Here to Listen that we've been involved with. I remember like phoning you up in a panic when we were going for some sort of tender like many years ago. We've run into each other on sort of NCS related stuff. There's been phone, you know, that and it's just kind of interesting seeing that we're both in the sort of field. We're both in this sort of mental health kind of field, and isn't it interesting that you always like bounce into? Has that been your experience, the sort of gravity and the satellite moving in and out, meeting people, you know, not seeing them for a while, coming back?
Yeah, like most of my work is during school term time, so that's the only place where I get to see the students mainly and work with them. You know, like now everything's moved on to remote working. I don't have that same level of contact. So things have changed in that respect. But over the years, yes, I think I was first introduced to NCS and Here to Listen around 2016, I think was when I first got on board. And so I've always known about you, Adam, because they've always mentioned you from day one. But I think I last saw you in October when I was doing the team leader for the half-term session.
Yeah. I remember that.
Saw you. So it was really, really good just to kind of cross paths, still be on the same wavelength, working with, you know, young people that are vulnerable and those that are not, but always there to help them along their life's journey.
Yeah, the focus, I guess, has been that way for quite some time, if not your entire professional life, would you say?
I'd say 15 years. It crosses over with safeguarding because I used to work in children services in central Bedfordshire. Then I moved over to Hertfordshire working in long-term teams where that's when I did a lot more of the fostering kind of side of things, and then moved on to working in schools. So I've kind of gone around. I did my studies in health and social studies, and I've literally done everything from health to social care and now moving on into education.
Is there stuff on the horizon, or do you feel like a lot of that's been just put on hold for now? Because obviously we're in the middle of it. Where are you at now?
Currently doing some work with Public Health in Bedford. That's still ongoing because we've literally just done the first year. I've still got another 2 years to complete. So we are still keeping in communication. But like I said, that setup is designed to work with the young people within the school setting. So at this time, I do have some little worries in terms of I wonder how some of those that were really vulnerable were doing. No, some were on EHC plans, so I know that they'll be attending school. But for others, I don't know. You know, we use our social outlets such as, you know, you've got your Facebook pages, you've got your Instagram pages. So I'll post on there in the hope that someone may come along and read a feed or anything like that. But I think it's important to keep the energy flowing in a positive way and to just be there to help others.
With what you're doing with social media, have you had much success with that?
Yeah, lots of parents. Funny enough, it's been the parents. I think since all this has happened, my messages and Facebook page has really blown up, because at first parents were really, really concerned about, what am I supposed to do with my child? How am I supposed to cope? This, and some were real serious anxieties because they weren't born in the UK, so they've never gone through the UK schooling system, so they didn't even know where to start. And first and foremost, I would say to parents, you're not the teacher, you're the parent. So you can change it up. You can create your own little curriculum, such as, like, when you're doing cooking, help them spell out the ingredients. Help them with the maths. Let them do the weighing and on the scales and stuff, and incorporate that as maths. Go in the garden, do a bit of geography, find out, what about the roots and what you've got planting in the garden. I was like, change it up a bit. No one's expecting parents to be like full-on qualified teachers, and so there was like this misconception that they had to get everything right. Because sometimes we just want that perfection label, but it's not what that's about. It's about allowing your child to still have a good learning environment, but being safe at home as well, and it's combining the two.
Yeah, definitely just keeping their brain active during these times and just doing things day to day definitely improve your mental health and just keeping you busy, really. Because I know if I sat down in my back garden and done nothing all day, then I'd get so bored that even just a little bit of education, even if it is with your parent or guardian, it's something just to keep you going through the day.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of online resources. So those are some of the things that we're posting out. Online resources for parents to kind of navigate. The zoo, Chester Zoo, doing lives and stuff. So I've enjoyed a lot of the stuff, going to the zoo online, looking at things. They've got even museum tours. So you can do a tour online at like 12 different museums across the world. So
That's cool.
These are things that we're being able to do that we probably wouldn't have done in other circumstances.
Do you have any kind of links or things that you can put out there for the listeners so that they might know where to go for these resources?
Yeah, I can definitely take the stuff that I've got and send them on to you, Adam, so you can post it at the bottom of the feed of the things that I've just mentioned.
Great, great. Yeah, so zoos and museums are some of the things. I was thinking about with the pressure that you talked about with parents. I don't have kids myself, but I can imagine the sense of, right, my children aren't going to school anymore and I have to educate them. And you've highlighted that nobody's really expecting you to be a fully qualified teacher, but maybe there's also a felt experience around, well, what am I, I'm not a qualified teacher, but what am I supposed to? Is there like any curriculum guide? Is there any guidance, I suppose, is what I'm getting to?
Yeah. Schools have been providing lots of different resources that are online, and some parents or some households don't have facilities such as a laptop. They don't have Wi-Fi. They don't have a printer. So some schools, especially the pastoral support, are bringing booklets out for the children that's already printed and worksheets that they can do at home. For those that do have the laptops, the Wi-Fi printing, they are able to access the online materials, either send it in via email using the homework study links, or printing off the work and submitting it.
And is there any... Oh, go carry on.
No, go on.
Is there any sort of criteria that needs to be met? I don't know if there's like tests or things like that to ensure that,
No, it's more along the work-home study, because where we are, we're just now in the last term. So say, for example, the year sixes, for example, that would have been sitting their SATs in the next couple of weeks, that's not happening. So it's really just focusing on work that they would have been doing, like English, math, science, geography, history, anything that the teachers had pre-planned for what they were going to do this term. Those are the types of materials that the students are currently using.
So the resources are there. I don't suppose it has to be focused on like the school that the young people are at. Do you think there can be like being able to cross over to others?
Varied. It's varied. The school, as they have the obligation to provide, they are. But there's so much now online, whereas there's been a really big surge for teachers and tutors to move to online platforms for virtual learning. So people have been creating hundreds and hundreds of different types of lessons, learnings. Even David Walliams is doing English on YouTube now. So there's a variety that, they can pick and choose. But I think that with some schools, especially for the primary, if they've got these homework links, they are expected to complete and submit work.
I wonder also about with parents that have to work as well, because if there's that expectation that you've got to educate your children, then what if they're in a position where they're proper working from home, or in some cases maybe even having to go to the office? What do you think happens there?
That is a challenge. I know a few people who work statutory, so say like our social workers, our professionals in the field that are still having to work. But because a lot of it is being worked from home, they're having to be in that position where they have got work, they've got clients, they've got targets to meet, but then they might have a young child or a teenager child that they have to ensure are getting their work done. Some of the parents that I've spoken to in that particular position have got other family members that are in the same household to help, especially with the younger ones, so that they can get work done. Even appearances in court for children and things like that are still being done on Zoom at home. I was saying to my mate, I said, do you get dressed up for court? She goes, just the top half. You know what I mean? So I said to her, when the judge comes in, do you stand and lift your laptop up with you?
I like it.
So, yeah, I think people are doing their best to make it work. And if anyone is struggling, the best thing is to ask for help. You still have your school. You still got the pastoral support there. They still got the key worker staff that help, that reach out via phone, email, text messages to parents as the cycle goes on.
Mm-hmm. I kind of wanted to spin it on its head a little bit with, how do you think this system, let's say, has been received by children?
Well, some children don't like school experiences, and some don't like home experiences, and it has been a challenge. What I'm hearing is the new normal, but what is normal? I think some of them are doing what they're told, like staying indoors, finding things to do, getting on with a bit of work, having a bit of fun time, connecting with other people, and some are struggling. And I think that over the last few weeks, we've heard reports of, children missing for a couple of days, and then, they're found. And I was saying to my brother that I think sometimes when situations such as, like, say, for example, child exploitation occurs, you might not notice, because, if your child says, I'm going to stay at Phillips for the weekend, as a parent, you think your child might be at Phillips, but actually your child could be doing other things. And now that we're in this situation where we have to self-isolate, we've got to stay in our home, and your child is out and you don't know where they are, I was saying to my brother, this could be a red flag to pick up that maybe that child could be being exploited, because at this pandemic, they should be at home. So I think it's a bit of both, Adam. I think some young people are doing what needs to be done and staying at home, and I think others are struggling in the midst. There's been lots of disappointment in terms of, like, my son, he's year 11. Lots of disappointment because they were gearing up right now, doing all their revision and everything. And that's a hard time. And just before their exams, and we were really helping them build up their confidence. A lot of the time, there's self-doubt. So you've had this rise where, all the young people, year 11, were getting themselves ready, dealing with the ones with anxiety, and then boom, it's like, yeah, you're finished now. And so it's caused a mix of different emotions, stemming from anger, frustration, disappointment. Some anxieties have been relieved, but then there's the unknown, the uncertainty.
Yeah.
So it's just, I've had quite a few calls in regards to that. What's going to happen? What are we going to do? And parents, again, are really concerned with the fact that the using of the mocks because they're like, oh, the teacher don't like my child and this, that, the other. I hope they're not going to. And it's going to be like, do you know what? I'm kind of looking at it in two ways. Yeah, this has happened. But this could be a blessing in disguise, that the underdog, the one that weren't doing so great, has got a little bit more time now to put the effort in. Now everyone's at home learning. Go on YouTube, go on your channels, find out the information. And in September, you may have enough to scrape that number 4, get that number 5, which is like the C plus kind of levels, and move on to the next phase of your life, whether that's college or getting a job, but something. I'm kind of looking at it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the time side of things as well, there is a lot of opportunities there. You know, suddenly we've got this huge amount of time on our hands, and I was wondering if there might be people falling into two camps. So there might be the people, like you say, that are either motivated or they're lucky enough to sort of have a motivated sense within them. But what about the ones that are not? And I've looked at it almost like a scale of time versus Netflix. So you're either going to like sort your life out, get on top of things, or you're going to use this opportunity to like see what Netflix has got on offer. And, you know, I've heard somebody joke on another podcast that they could basically finish Netflix by the end of the lockdown because there's, you know, unlimited content on there. And I wonder if the things that are bolstering and supporting us online, you know, to occupy us or teach us in some senses, can also be a bit of an enemy as well. That kind of hole that we can find ourselves going down, YouTube as well. I mean, all of that. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on the sort of two camps and how they can be managed, or advice?
On both camps, definitely balance is a key. I think it works both ways in terms of, say, for the one who really has no interest in education or anything like that. My question is, what are your reasons why? Like, why do you think that you're in school, and who is to benefit? Because a lot of the times we want to do things to please other people. And when we kind of fall out of rapport with certain people like teachers, we don't do too well in their subjects. So is it about the teacher, or is it about you? I was, even in my post today, was talking about self-investment, investing in yourself. So when you pick up that book to read, you're investing your time, your energy and knowledge into learning something new. And that's a way that you could approach learning. And it doesn't have to be 24/7. You know, bite sizes, little bits, chunks here and there. We've got 24 hours in the day. We've got time to sleep. We've got time to eat and drink. And then we've got time for fun. We've got time to learn and study, all those types of things. I don't think we need to be cramming at this time. I think little bite sizes and recognizing your investment in yourself, in your learning, in your future, and what it is that you can do now for your own tomorrow. That's kind of my kind of way of putting it for both types of camps. Because there's some that are just plowing in, going all out and stuff, and not having no time to reflect or talk with other family members, even get in on a FaceTime or a house party, play a couple of games, go on Uno. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
just enjoy yourself, relax.
Yeah, chill out for a bit. And then you've got the others. So I'm kind of like, we can learn from each camp. Each camp could take a little bit from what each other's doing to create a nice and healthy balance.
It was something that me and Jack were talking about on the first podcast about sort of kind of setting goals maybe, or what we were saying, Jack, about getting through the day.
Yeah, just doing it in stages, maybe not trying to, what I normally do is rather than sort of think about all the things that I've got to do, I write them down on the list and I'll approach each one stage at a time. If I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I've got this to do, I've got to clean my room, I've got to take my car, get some petrol, I've got to sort my bank out, all this sort of stuff. It sort of all gets on top of me and I end up not doing any of it because I look at it as one big problem. But if you break it down, you write it down and go into each stage and you do it bit by bit, then it makes it a little bit easier. You can just see that it's achievable rather than it just being like one big obstacle. Even though there's such little things, but when you wake up in the morning, you don't want to call the bank for 3 hours and sit on hold. But, you know, it's something that needs to be done. So you've got to get up, get a little bit of motivation and do it.
Yeah.
And there's something about doing that one goal as well. It's like, yes, you know, I can imagine like the Xbox thing where it's like achievement unlocked. Pling, you know, little thing appears on the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, I've done it. another thing off my mind.
It's one less thing to think about. I
You
suppose
know?
that's yeah. Go on, Ruth.
But
I like that, Jack.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I had a question
No.
for you, 'cause I know you're really good with positive energy. Because every time
Yeah.
I've been around Ruth, whether it's been on NCS or out and about, she's always really, really positive. So I know there's a lot of young people at home that are bored of their Xbox, that are bored of going online, and do you know what? They're probably done with work by now, and they're just trying to stay positive within themselves without having to do anything, without having to go on their phone, without having to watch TV. What can they do just to sort of stay positive within themselves?
Well, one of the things that can be done is having a nice little self movie, like your own self movie, of all your nice and happy memories, things that have made you laugh. Just, when you're in your chill out zone, you can either be lying down or sitting comfortably in the chair, and you're just allowing the good thoughts to come and refresh your mind and take that step in and have a really good look and really feel those senses that you were feeling at the time and reflect. I've had quite a few laughs, and I know this is not the time to laugh, but that is my coping mechanism, because I was saying to my son, I don't know if with all this NLP stuff where I can't get into that panic for some reason, but I kind of go to this optimism, and I'm like saying, behind every dark and heavy cloud there is a silver lining. There is about. This is what I'm saying, and I'm even saying to myself, Ruth, there is a pandemic happening. What is wrong with you? And then I'm saying, I said to myself, I think I'm programmed this way. And he's like, yes, Mum, you are. So I think because I've been doing the positive and the well-being and stuff for so long, I even myself can't get there. Even like I'm watching the news and I'm listening to them, and in my own yard cussing them from the TV screen. I still can't take on, because the thing is, you can get sapped into negativity real quick. And you know what does make me sad, actually? When I do talk to children and they say to me, I say to them, oh, draw on a happy...
Ruth, we lost you.
It's
Sorry, Ruth, we lost you.
Create your own. You know what it is?
Wait, Ruth, you said draw a happy, and then it cut out.
Oh, do you know what? I'm sorry. I apologise, because my Wi-Fi must be really crap right about now. But so what I'm saying is draw on your own, like create your own. So draw your own memories and create your own. Like things, this is where we can tap into the imagination. Things that have never happened that you would like to do, you can focus your mind on that. Because the things that the mind can do is create pictures, it can create sounds. Even like, sometimes you've been out, you might have gone to a party and there was a tune, and you might not even know the tune itself, but you know the melody and you can hear that vibe, and you kind of go to the record store and you say, oh, it goes like this, and it doesn't sound anything like what you're portraying. But in your own mind, you're creating your own stuff and you're using your own imagination. That's what I tell young people who say to me they don't have any happy memories. I'm like, then let's start creating some. Yeah. Thinking and seeing yourself as doing things or interacting with people or visiting places that you'd want to go. Do you know, like, I've never been to Egypt, see the pyramids and stuff like that.
I've been to Egypt.
Oh, I'd love to, but do you know what? Because I've seen it like on TV and things like that. Imagine, you've got that TV box and it's quite small, but imagine extending the screen so big that it fills your room that you could even step into it. And you'd be like, oh, you can smell the sand in the air kind of stuff, and just be in that moment, even if it lasts for a couple of seconds. At least it's a moment of a memory that you created, because the brain don't know reality from imagination.
Exactly.
So we can start tapping in. This is my little words of advice to those who really struggle, who've got really dark pictures. Create some nice, lighter, brighter ones. Exactly. These are the things that I've always said along the time I've been doing what I've been doing. And that's only so that in your own mind you feel better. That's it.
Yeah, because if you're filling it with positive memories, then you're definitely not filling it with negative memories.
Yeah.
Have you seen much in the way of an impact on mental health as a result of the lockdown, Ruth?
Yeah.
Personally, I'm not seeing much, but maybe it's just not in my frame. But what kind of things have you seen?
Well, some people haven't made it. Some people have not made it. So those that were vulnerable who were suicidal, unfortunately, some have taken that leap because they just couldn't deal with the lockdown. And there was a couple of reports in the paper. There's been a real drive for, keeping everybody safe during this lockdown, in terms of child abuse. I think they said that domestic abuse has gone up 25%. So, there is still a lot of concern for some families that may, who was already previously in some of these precarious situations. But I think the lockdown has kind of brought it to the forefront because children's services are working out flat. Those that are doing family group conferences to support families are working out flat because they're really trying to be there as a support for the families.
I feel like the problem is family time for these young people was only maybe 6 hours a day. They go to school and then they go to sleep. But now it's turned into 16 hours days at home with the same people that could be your abusers, which literally sounds like a living nightmare.
But the thing was, what they did do is they a lot of the children that were previously identified at the school that there was or an inkling or a situation going on, those children should be in schools.
Okay.
If say like a domestic abuse report, because like you call the police get in touch with children's services. If there are any children identified in that kind of remit, they're also being encouraged to go to school because it's like, the police are to come out for this, in order to keep the children safe, because everyone is really on this way of, let's keep everyone safe during this lockdown because we're fully aware that some are not going to be.
Don't you think go on. I was about to say, don't you think it's good how the whole country has come together in a situation like this? It's been a long time, since I've been alive, I've not seen the country really pull together like this unless it's the World Cup. So I feel like it is actually such a good team spirit.
Yeah, we've seen some wonderful characteristics in people, like some real good nature. But on the flip side, there's been the teeth is still teething,
Yeah.
There's some people still, cars abandoned, the amount of cars and things that have been stolen. Some people have just kind of got to the point because it's gone on for so many weeks. I'm just going to go out and do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And, I think in Jamaica, there was no gunshots. Once this corona thing hit, there was no gunshots, where people are dying in that country every single day.
Yeah.
So it has brought out real good, nice, genuine characteristics, which makes us human. They're coming together. I've got a neighbour, two neighbours, both have heart problems, but they're not elderly. But I check in on each of them just to make sure that they're okay because they can't go out, they cannot do their shopping, they're on the vulnerable list and things like that. Because I would hate, and they're on their own, I'd hate for anything to happen and they didn't make a call out. So I'm always making sure I message, letting them know that, we're here to support. And I think we're seeing that a lot in our own little collective neighbourhoods.
Yeah, definitely.
Something that I've been wondering about as well, you going back to the crime side of things, is what's been increased, what's decreased, because I can't imagine there's much burglaries going on, do you know what I mean? Because everyone's at home. But does that mean a load of other things are going up? And I've talked on the podcast before about, addiction is still going to exist. People are still going to need to find drugs, so how they're getting on with that.
I know fraud is something that's gone up. When I went into the bank, they were saying to me, just be careful of the emails that you're getting. So this was at Barclays, because what they said to me was that there's this email going around saying that because of this lockdown, bank accounts are being closed and that you can transfer your money into this new account. And people have been doing it. People have cleared out their own real live bank account and putting it into this other account and then thinking it's really from the bank. And when she was telling me that, I was like, for real, at this time? So Adam, things are still happening. Fraudsters.
Yeah.
A lot of online.
I've got something to say about that because I got an email 4 days ago, which I thought was from the HMRC, and I come down the stairs 2 days ago, and I said to my dad, I was like, oh yeah, I've got to say I got a tax rebate the other day, 350 quid. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, I thought you was on salary. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I am. He's like, well, you shouldn't get tax rebate. So I went on my emails, and he's like, why are you going on your emails? I was like, that's where they sent it to me. He's like, the HMRC do not send you emails. So I went on there, clicked on the link, completely fake, and I thought they'd empty my bank account. But luckily, they hadn't done nothing with it. I called the bank, and they cancelled my card.
Oh, excellent.
But I don't know how they didn't take anything. It had been 4 days since they gave me my details, and nothing had gone. But they are still out there. They're still working more than anyone.
Yeah.
Getting their hours in, getting their targets met.
But I suppose that's the other side, because you've got those that are kind of working still, the key workers. You've got some small companies or some small businesses that there's nothing happening right now. I had a few friends, they were sacked literally at the beginning stages. They were just let go. And I was like, they can't do that. There's lots of different households go through lots of different things. Some households, everybody's working, so nothing changes for them financially. Some, maybe one person's working and the other's not, or no one's working, no income, having to do the furlough, having to wait on the HMRC for whatever, universal credit, all these types of things. So I understand that it is a very precarious time, but I'm also kind of looking at the basics. Once we've got our food, we've got our shelter, we've got our health and our strength, and those things, and we can click the light and it comes on, and we can turn the gas and that's on. Those are the things we need to be grateful for. I know it sounds kind of like, what?
Not just that, waking up every day and it's been boiling hot sun. For me, that is got me through this lockdown, because if I woke up and it had been raining for these past 3-4 weeks, that would have put me in a bad mood, because I love the sun more than anything. It puts a smile on my face every morning.
Yeah, and we need that. We need the sunlight.
I know, it's a shame you can't enjoy it with everyone, but it is what it is.
But we can be in our own gardens or in our own front yard.
I'm sitting there right now.
Do you know what I mean? Look, I tell you what, I woke up this morning on my bed. My friend text me, she said, I'm going to drop something off at the top of my bed. I had 6 eggs. And she's got little chickens. And I tell you what, I said, I'm so grateful because I can bake a cake. I had 2 eggs left, right? And I was saying to myself, I don't want to go out to go shopping because I'm only trying to minimise those trips. Yeah. And I just said, if I've got 2 eggs and it's only me and my son in the house, that's it. Just little things like asking the universe, right? And then this morning to have 6 eggs, I'm telling you, I'm kind of like, thank you so much.
Grateful for so little.
And I think sometimes that's where we got to go to, the little things. Yeah. If you can click a light on, you've got light on, we need to be grateful because somebody else is in a slum and they're making it work.
Yeah, definitely.
You talked earlier about the kinds of things that we can use to combat. You mentioned about feeling maybe. Oh, you still there, Ruth?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I think
I'm still here.
Still on. I was talking about combating some of the challenges that are around this. You mentioned about comedy being a part of that, or making a joke of things. And I did listen to a podcast recently. It had Billy Connolly on it, and he talked about how necessary comedy is. He wasn't speaking about these times. He was actually talking about the death of John Lennon, for example, and him having to go out on the road as a comedian and address it. And he said that there's a responsibility with comedians to be able to kind of put it on Front Street and not hide away from the fact that something tragic has happened. Obviously there was 9/11 as well. He talked about that. And he took this view that it's we as people are looking to be led out of the darkness, that we will cling on to any opportunities to kind of bring us out of that funk. And one of alongside comedy, you also mentioned about gratitude. So there's kind of 2 quite significant things there that can bring us out and keep us focused, keep us positive, and find the way.
Music's another one, because I don't know if you've noticed, Adam and Jack, the DJs that are putting their music online and they're doing maybe an hour or 2 hour set of just playing and just lifting the vibration across the world. I've seen American DJs, UK DJs, Italian, Spanish, different people across the world are contributing to like the world's portal of a ray of sunshine, if you want to put it in that way.
I get
so it's like, if you're a singer, they're singing. If you're a DJ, they're DJing. If even there's been some comedy acts on Zoom, and then playing that on. You've got the Big Night In coming up with the BBC, and that's a host of different types of comedians and celebrities. I think people are using their own skill, their talent, and like putting it into this portal where we can see it around the world. I on YouTube the other day, Dave Chappelle, he was on live. His show, the Dave Chappelle Show, was live streaming for one of the days, and it was quite funny. You can just pop in, have a little laugh, and get on with your day. But I have to say, one of the things that have helped me get through this pandemic is having a laugh every day. I find something. If it's not myself that I laugh at, I find something to make me laugh. And I don't just watch it once. I watch it like 25 times, and each time I'm laughing. It just changes my mood, my funk, like you say, because I do get the news, this one's passed away, that I can't tell you the amount of people that I've heard passing away from COVID-19, one message after another. And the thing is, at this time, you can't do anything. You can't go to the funerals. You can only send your condolences through FaceTime or a message. For one of my friends, they had us put their picture up, like as a mark, because there's something that we do in the Caribbean called the 9 Night, which is on the 9th day after someone's passed. That's the time we would get together and share stories about that person. So we've been having to do our own cultural things differently.
Yeah. Good way around it, though.
Yeah, and we found a way, and I thought, because we still have to pay homage to our loved ones. We still have to acknowledge their essence, their energy that was on this earth, and then their transition culturally. However, every culture does things different. It's just something that we do, and we found a different way of doing it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I find that this is kind of a moment to shine for the creative people. I'm not a terribly creative person, I must admit, but I feel like I'm surrounded by creative people, working life, family life, that sort of thing. And I've heard from colleague Max and how creative he's got in terms of educating his children. Like, as he was talking, I'm like, that's amazing. I never would have thought of that. And I kind of appreciate that creativity in people. You mentioned about people going online, singing, all that sort of stuff. I've gone down a massive rabbit hole in the last week with a guy called Harry Mack. I don't know if any of you heard of him. He's freestyle rapper.
Nah.
I'm not actually overly into rap. I like it. I've had my moments over my life, but this guy just blew me away. He goes completely on what people are saying and what he observes. He just like makes it up as he goes. I think it was on a Facebook post or something like that. But this Facebook post, shout out to Facebook advertising, it worked for me. And I found his YouTube channel, and he'll like go out on the street. He'll kind of like get a little boomboxy type thing, speaker, and then he'll just walk up to people and he'll say, "Hi, I'm Harry Mack. I'm a freestyle rapper." And what I was kind of hoping to do is some content for my YouTube channel. And if you could like shout out words, and then I'll just get it going. And 9 times out of 10 people are well up for it. And as I was watching that, I felt massive joy. I just couldn't. It was so infectious. He was smiling as he kind of nailed a nice little line. The people were like both impressed and like joyous about what he was coming up with. I get a bit teary when I see things that people are doing that are just amazing, particularly musical stuff. And I felt fantastic during the day, but I actually felt like slightly exhausted at the end of the day because I just had such a dose of joy for so long. It was almost like I sort of felt quite wrung out. And he goes online now and he does these live things where he'll he'll go on and he'll have like the message board, and people will literally just type in words and press enter, and he'll like make a rap around it, and it's really nice to listen to. You mentioned about the DJs. I felt it was a bit like that actually. He was kind of doing it for entertainment purposes, but in the spirit of like what we're facing at the moment, when you can find people like that just inject that joy into you, it's a great counter to any of the, you know, issues that you might be finding challenging. Highly recommended.
What's your local hospital up at your end?
Be Stevenage or Bedford and that.
Okay, because I'm Luton, so we've got the L&D hospital. What I've seen is we've got lots of acts of kindness. You know, I wanted to kind of mention people are helping out nursing staff, the medical staff, and the paramedics. Some of the smaller companies that do catering, they're providing meals, so different days for different departments, because they've had some issues with getting their shopping, or they've done a night shift feeling really tired and exhausted and just not in the mood to cook or, you know, go shopping. So there's been people that have been like delivering food to the elderly and those that are vulnerable, you know, cooked food. So like some of them has been Caribbean food, like cottage pies, and then some of them have been like, you know, just your basic kind of different dishes. But that's to help the nursing staff and things like that. So I've seen firsthand a lot of good things, and those are the things that I'm kind of clinging to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Holding on to that, because then I feel like in this position, if I'm going to be a force for anything, I'd rather be a force for good than anything else right now, so that I can use that good to help somebody else. Or even today, I was like saying, I've got a friend, he's vulnerable, lives in such and such. Can somebody make sure that he's okay? And they were like, yeah, we'll put him on the list. Let's get his number. So I'm seeing all that kind of camaraderie and all that kind of effort being pulled together, which I'm loving. I'm really absolutely loving it.
Yeah, certainly not to be underestimated, a lot of what people are doing out there in the healthcare service as well. And so anything that can be done to kind of support their work is great. I spoke to a guy called Darren yesterday, who's a paramedic. Paramedic by trade, as it were, but he's mostly doing surgery type work, and so he's like not deep in it, but he's deep enough to know how his colleagues are doing in all of this. And he said how supportive the public have been, particularly towards him. There was a situation, I think, where he had to like park his car or whatever, and there was all sorts of paid parking there. He put a message out saying, "Is there anywhere I can park?" He's got like a big like a camper van type thing, by the sound of it, so he can rove around, and people are falling over themselves to say, yeah, park on the drive, anywhere, cool, all that. So it's like anything that people can do, it sounds like they're willing to do to bolster the healthcare.
Don't you think it should almost be like that? Like it should have to be like that.
Interesting point.
When I'm sitting at home, not really doing anything, I mean, this is my work at the moment, what we're doing now. When I think that there's people out there busting 12-hour days, putting their life on the line, there must be something that the public, even myself, can sort of do to help them out in any sort of way. I mean, I've donated money, but at the moment, that's probably the only thing that I can contribute at this point.
It's a good point, actually. There's a sense of like, why aren't we doing this when we're not faced with all this tragedy and stress?
Yeah, definitely. Like they're probably under this sort of pressure day in, day out, just with a different sort of virus or a different sort of disease.
So here's a question then to both of you. Like all the efforts that we're going to at the moment, the public support, all the creativity that's happening as well, do you still see that continuing beyond the lockdown period and once we've, you know, in recovery mode?
Well, I do. For how long, I'm not sure though, because I feel like it's always like a big energy boost. And then everyone will it's sort of like New Year's resolutions. Everyone has such a good idea about what they're going to do in the new year. You know, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to stop smoking, I'm going to do all this stuff. And then a month or two down the line, everyone just sort of reverts back to their old ways. It'd be nice if everyone did continue on the positive streak that we're sort of going on, but I don't know how long it'll last.
What about you, Ruth?
I personally feel that the NHS deserves a pay rise.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't too long ago that in the Houses of Parliament that they were clapping and cheering when it was denied. And now every week people are coming out of their house, clapping, banging tins, blowing whistles every week for the nursing staff. And the reality is, some people didn't even give a toss about what they were doing, for them prior. So it takes something like this to show all this, then it needs to continue, especially for that. Plus, I don't think that the NHS should be even on the table for the trade, because from my recollection, 1942, going back to the Beveridge report, I thought it was law that we had a free health service. So I really don't understand why it's even in discussion unless something's changed that I wasn't aware of. So we had these things there from the 1940s to help us. We still need them now. We're in the 21st century. I think we need to not just be showing love, care, concern, compassion for our medical staff and teams and all the services around that help keep things going. That's like postal people, the supermarkets, all of those that are really helping us to stay at home. I really think that we need to give it a new look for when we come out of this.
Yeah, definitely.
I've seen hundreds of thousands of pounds being raised within days. And that's not from the government, that's from the people. Tells me that we've got a lot that we can do and contribute and offer, to help. Well, look at the old guy that was running around and raised all that money for the NHS.
I know, that's crazy, isn't it?
You see what I'm saying? So if we're saying that we're powerless, no, man, we have the power.
The power's in the people, Ruth. The power's in the people.
Do this. Because if you can do this without the government's help, I'm not saying we don't need it, but what I'm saying is if in a time like this, the people have risen up and can do all that they're doing, we can do anything positive.
100%.
We can help people who didn't have money for funerals that wasn't expected to die. They've had their funerals paid for. It was the people that done that. So I that's my thought on it, Adam. I really do hope. I don't know if it will, but I know for me, I will. I will be continuing doing the contributions that I'm doing. I have to be honest. I'm not one that's clapping because I kind of like thinking you guys just get on my nerves sometimes.
Well, the clapping.
Fakery. No, because they're crying. They're going in their cars and crying. Now they've got non-disclosure. Have you noticed that you haven't seen no nurses getting on any platform and saying anything now?
Yeah.
Because they have been told that they can't.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I think this is a disgrace. Because you know what? My first thing here, the PPE, the personal protective equipment, that's a must. Weeks down the line, that's a must. They need that. And so there's some schools, you can donate plastics, like your plastic bottles and things like that. They will take that and reconstruct it and make shields. They're doing it at Ashcroft, and there's another school in Luton. So check around your local schools if their DT departments, the design technology departments, are doing anything like that to help the local hospitals. Because giving your empty bottles, your plastic bottles, is a way that you can be helping.
Every little help.
What you're talking about is social action, Ruth, and obviously something dear to our heart as an NCS provider. We've got about 10 minutes left, but I did want to come back to like what you remember about your experience working with the NCS. I think several times, maybe as a team leader. I think at one point.
Yeah. I've done lots of things with NCS and Hear2Listen. I've done team leader. I've done wave leader. Yeah, I was
you, Ruth.
Jack
me and you.
Year.
The dream team.
I'm telling you. You know what? Right? It was my first time working with Jack on that level because normally Jack is you just pop in on.
Yeah. I'm normally the guy that swings by and then leaves.
Yeah. Whereas we were in it together. We went down together, we talked, and we had a plan.
Then we actually smashed it. I spoke to a young person not that long ago, Ruth.
Yeah.
And she came up to me and she said, the two wave leaders, she said, you and Ruth that are on our program, they said, you absolutely made it. They said the energy that you two brought made the whole wave. And I just said, do you know what? I was like, I don't want to brag, but me and Ruth, we did smash it. I was like, it's the first one we've ever done. And I was like, and it couldn't have gone any better.
It was, because we set good intentions, Adam. We set that, one of the things we want the young people to experience is a lot of fun, but we also want them to become independent, responsible, face their challenges, overcome some of their hardest obstacles, which I think they did. And then we support the team leaders, because sometimes, we're all going through different issues and things like that within our own life. And it's only when you're crammed into those experiences, these things kind of filter to the top. One of the things I wanted to add is there was a very big difference between myself and Jack, right? But I got the utmost respect for him. I see Jack as my leader. I see him as someone that I can go to, ask him for stuff and things like that. And when we came up with little discrepancies where people were trying to kind of downplay my Jack, I was like, not on this watch. We don't do that, because I'm the oldest out of everybody, but yet I must still come under his subjection as to what we're doing here. Do you understand? It just goes.
Yeah, and we were a team.
We were a team, and people were looking at me like, God, I respect you more for saying that, because I said, so who are we? We can't look at ourselves as bigger and better as anyone else. I see myself as equal as the same young person, because I was young and I was struggling. And if I could reach out and ask someone to help me, I would have done. I didn't. I only done that later on in life. So sometimes when we get more experience, we can see things a little bit more clearly, and we can actually help others with their own life pathways. So anything to do with young people, anything to encourage, motivate, inspire, help them get to their next phase, even completing CVs, anything along them lines, I'm down for it. And this is why I'm a partner with you guys.
Yeah, music to my ears, Ruth.
That's what I'm saying. It's that all day long. All day long. I've also done presenting for NCS. You have your guest speaker, so I've come on.
Yeah, I remember that, Ruth.
Yeah, I've
got to jump in here, because Ruth has been blowing my trumpet. I've got to let the public know exactly what happened on this night. So we have plenty of guest speakers, and every guest speaker we had has been really, really good. But there has not been one guest speaker that got the whole crowd to stand up and clap right at the end of her speech. And Ruth got that. At the end of it, everyone was standing up, clapping. It was like some motivational speech that definitely left the young people feeling positive, ready to move on to their next stage. It was amazing.
Yeah, I just think that if I'm going to use my voice for anything, I'd rather use it to lift vibrations, lift that inner part of you, so that you can see who you are for yourself, and then take the steps that you need to get there. In a nutshell.
Lovely. I think we might end on that, actually, Ruth. That's spot on. Yeah, inspirational words right there. She cut out just as I was going to wrap up.
I didn't hear it.
I was just going to say, Ruth, we'll probably wrap up now, because that's actually quite a nice way to end it. But I want to thank you for coming on. Is there anything you want to leave us with? I know you're going to send us some links, but is there anything that you want to shout out? Have you got a website? Have you got anything like that you want to direct people towards? Facebook, anything like that?
Yeah. I've got my all my links are based on Ruth Carter, the Liberty Coach. So I think for Instagram it's _Liberty_Coach. My website is www.thelibertycoach.com. I will be sharing the links and stuff on that platform, and just looking forward to doing whatever I can with you guys. So I'm just happy just to be a part of a team, because even though I do seasonal stuff with you, I still feel part of the team, because I'm always in the loop, if that makes sense. I always get a message. I always kind of feel, and for me, I think what we can do is just be our best and be our best selves, and that will help and go a long way.
Lovely. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you very much for coming on. Thank you, Jack, being a co-host. And
not a problem,
we'll
Adam.
speak to you guys soon. Right, ta-ta.